Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, in this particular video, I want us to do a critical analysis about Raila Odinga's provocative speech during Kamukunji rally today. Because that speech, in my view, is definitely going to shape the politics of the Republic of Kenya moving forward. And none other than Kabando wa Kabando captured it. Let me just quote for you what Kabando wa Kabando has said here, that Sabasaba of 2023 will be a turning point. Unlike previous mandamanos, this round, it won't be about Raila. All over, citizens are angry, disgruntled, betrayed, frustrated, and are ready to rise up against Ruto's taxation. If Ruto is not careful, things are fast heading south. That's Kabando wa Kabando's response to Raila Odinga. You all know, especially those who are on this platform, that personally, I've always believed that Raila Odinga ought to have let Kenyans to suffer. That there was no need for Raila Odinga to get out and fight for Kenyans when Kenyans themselves are not appreciating. The fact that the finance bill was going to have effect on first and again probably on 15th when the fuel prices will go up, then Kenyans are going to feel it. But seemingly, Raila Odinga had a different idea, that silence was not going to be an option. Listening to Raila Odinga himself talking about silence.
Dear Kenyans, last week we were betrayed in this city. Our representatives conspired with an executive and abandoned us at our hour of need by voting for the punitive Finance Bill 2023. Yesterday, Mr. William Ruto endorsed this betrayal by signing the Finance Bill into law. We did everything that could be done to have Ruto listen to us and avert the confrontation over taxes. We petitioned the authorities and institutions. We demonstrated, we prayed in the house of worship, we begged to be heard, we sought amendments, and we pleaded with the members of parliament to stand up for us. Our petitions were thrown to the dustbin by Ruto's tyrannical hands. He slighted our pleas and violently dispersed our petitioners. Effective next week, therefore, fuel taxes rises from 8% to 16%. We will pay housing tax whether we need a house or not. The cost of basic goods, which has been weighing Kenyans down, is going up from next week again. At a time like this, silence would be a betrayal to the country. Silence would be treason. We cannot be a nation of people who, having eyes, refuse to see, and having ears, refuse to hear.
And Raila Odinga actually fired a warning to Ruto that Ruto will learn the hard way that Kenyans are fed up and not helpless. The fact is, Kenyans are actually fed up.
We have to stop Ruto, and we have to stop it. We have to do it now. We must tell Ruto in no uncertain terms that he has stolen enough for the owners to notice, and he has no more room for stealing the wishes of the people. This gathering must provide an unmistakable response to Ruto and those who think like him, that we are willing and ready to do whatever it takes to roll back dictatorship. This gathering must make it clear to Ruto and all those who are nostalgic about the dictatorship of the past, that they will pay a heavy price for their unfortunate experiments. You have some bad news from Mr. Ruto. The betrayal in the city has seeped into every village in Kenya. It has united Kenyans better than any government ever would. While the betrayal has shattered our faith in government and parliament, it has strengthened our faith in ourselves and our power. Consequently, Ruto and all those who think like him are going to learn the painful way never to mess with the people's food, fuel, and freedom. Hello? Ruto and his ilk are going to learn the hard way that Kenyans are fed up but not helpless.
So if you also paid very close attention to Raila Odinga's speech, for me, it was a very provocative speech. And Raila Odinga started by talking about the betrayal by members of parliament. I don't know the strategy he's going to use, but from his speech, Raila Odinga actually incited Kenyans against the members of parliament who voted yes. As a matter of fact, the members of parliament who voted yes to this bill are already feeling the wrath of Kenyans. Earlier today in Kisii, Gusii Stadium, Silvanus Osoro found it rough and he had to be kicked out of the stadium. And actually that's what Raila Odinga is calling on Kenyans to do. The other bit which captured my attention is when Raila Odinga spoke about forcing the repeal of the Finance Act. You know, when you talk of repealing of an act, in the history of this republic, Section 22 of our Constitution, which allowed for multipartism, was repealed through agitation, through mass action, through rebellion. That is exactly what Raila Odinga is asking Kenyans to do. And what is the strategy? What strategy will they use to force this repeal? Let us wait and see what Raila Odinga has up his sleeves. But I know for sure that the finance bill is very bad for Kenyans. The economy is doing badly. The other thing is that all these things are geared towards helping Ruto. For example, if you go through the budget, which was read yesterday, you can clearly tell who the budget is prepared for. For example, the Devki guys, there's an element which is meant for them.
We have suffered a cruel betrayal of our trust and confidence in the ability of our representatives to protect us. We must punish the traitors.
Again, Raila Odinga spoke of the re-emergence of dictatorship. You know, when you talk of dictatorship in this republic, what comes to your mind? Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi and Kanu regime. And why do you think Raila Odinga is talking of this? If you look at the way William Ruto is operating in this country today, currently, no Mount Kenya member of parliament can actually speak against William Ruto. The moment you open your mouth a bit, someone is popped up in your constituency. It's happening in Murang'a, it's happening in Githunguri, it's happening in several other places to an extent that in Mount Kenya, no member of parliament can actually raise his or her voice against this government. And of course, we all know that Kenyans rebelled against Kanu. And probably that's what Raila Odinga is trying to tell Kenyans, that, you know, dictatorship is coming back and therefore it is time to rebel.
And we must force a repeal of the Finance Act. But what happened this past week and yesterday is not just about the Finance Act. This is about the reemergence of a dictatorship under leaders who cut their teeth and honed their political skills in an infamous school of dictatorship. We all know where Mr. William Ruto is coming from.
Again, Raila Odinga has a message for Ruto, that William Ruto is actually going to learn the hard way. I don't know what he has up his sleeve, but one thing I know for sure is that when Raila Odinga tells you that your wife is pregnant, please prepare for that. The only thing I know Raila Odinga has not been able to achieve is to win the presidency. Otherwise, every other thing he has always been successful in. So, how do you think William Ruto is going to learn? What do you think William Ruto is going to learn the hard way, which Raila Odinga is telling him?
While the betrayal has shattered our faith in government and parliament, it has strengthened our faith in ourselves and our power. Consequently, Ruto and all those who think like him are going to learn the painful way never to mess with the people's food, fuel, and freedom. Hello? Ruto and his ilk are going to learn the hard way that Kenyans are fed up but not helpless.
I'm trying to put it somewhere, but according to Raila Odinga and Azimio, there's a possibility that this rebellion can actually force William Ruto's government out of office. Can Ruto leave office? I'm not sure. And the other important thing from that speech is when Raila Odinga talked of going back to the trenches. You know, there are Kenyans who fought very hard for independence. Then there are Kenyans who fought hard for the second liberation of the Republic of Kenya. And Raila Odinga is saying, because he was part of them, that they are now going back to the trenches. Which means either they are going for mandamano or street protest, which are going to be lethal moving forward. So let us wait and see how that's also going to go moving forward. And the last bit which caught my attention is actually the call for civil disobedience. You know, when we talk of civil disobedience, it's simple. You just defy the government. The government is saying that matatus should carry 14 passengers. Raila Odinga is telling matatus that you should not carry 14 passengers, carry more. Civil disobedience means you are supposed to pay taxes. Raila Odinga is telling you, don't file those tax returns and wait for the government to arrest you. Raila Odinga is telling you that, you know, normally by law, anytime you see VIP vehicles coming, you give way. He's now telling you as a Kenyan, don't give way. Civil disobedience. So for me, in general, that speech by Raila Odinga is going to shape the politics of this country if they were to follow it to the latter. And they've called for another big day, which is going to be Saba Saba. Let us wait and see how things are going to move moving forward. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.
In this time of desperation in the country, Ruto is selling illusions of hope to our people with the phantom proposals that are meant to line the pockets of his cronies. It is wrong. It is cruel. It is evil. The question we must ask ourselves is, can a leader mean well for the people than the people do for themselves? The answer is no. Kenyans must not trust that insider smile that Ruto wears. It is betrayer's kiss. If Ruto meant well, he would have listened to the people. He did not, and now we must fight. fellow Kenyans, comrades, a regime that has so blatantly ignored and betrayed us does not deserve our delegated power. We are taking back our sovereign power. We are going to the trenches ourselves to fight for ourselves. This regime does not deserve our obedience. We have no obligation to work for the success of a regime that has no interest in our success. We are the people.